In a dark and eerie convent, a young boy is entrusted with the sacred task of guarding the blood of Christ. As he proceeds, he notices a basketball, always left in a corner, eerily rolling up the stairs. He looks around, but finds no one nearby. Nervously, he kicks the ball into the darkness behind a door. But when he's securing the sacred blood, the ball rolls back out from the shadows. Terrified, he stares into the dark abyss behind the door and kicks the ball again. After waiting in silence with no movement, he attempts to investigate, but suddenly, a terrifying noise forces him to flee the basement. In a panic, he tells the priest, but before he finishes, a horrifying growl echoes from outside the door. The priest, gathering his courage, enters the church only to find the holy water in the basin emitting strange white smoke. The usually cold water now seems to be dried by intense heat, and the smoke is absorbed by a shadowy figure lurking nearby. The priest's suspicions are proven true as he is instantly turned to ash. Despite these chilling events, the nun does not harm the boy. The following day, another witness, a man who had seen everything, leaves the convent, but his back now eerily resembles that of a nun. Soon after, Maurice arrives at a new convent, now repurposed into a nunnery school. The moment he steps foot inside, strange occurrences begin. One day, a young girl, unable to pay her dues, accidentally discovers Maurice's unsettling behavior. She stands by a mirror, gasping for air as a pale handprint appears on the door frame. Frozen in fear, she faces the nun, who slowly reveals half of her face. Terrified, the girl stumbles backward as the room turns blood red. Just as she attempts to get up, the door slams shut, and she is strangled, blood pouring from her body. Meanwhile, far away, little May seems to sense something terrible. She rushes into the yard where Morris is waiting, almost as if he had been expecting her. She spins around in panic, hearing a voice. But though it feels like a dream, it's unnervingly real as blood begins to drip from her nose. The next morning, May kneels by the cross, praying. A bishop suddenly calls her in and shows her a photo of the burned priest. He explains that everyone involved in the exorcism has died. May is the only one left. The Vatican urges her to investigate further. May, accompanied by her closest friend, heads to the burned priest's residence. At the same time, several young nuns play an exploration game at the convent and stumble into a forbidden area behind a door where a giant statue stands. As they venture deeper, the statue begins to move on its own. This turns out to be an abandoned church. A few young girls force Sophie to participate in a demonic game. The glass features a monstrous goat. Every day at noon, the sunlight refracts and turns the goat's eyes red. They must keep staring at it without blinking until the light moves on. Sophie, trusting her friend's protection, stays locked in a stare with the goat, unaware that the others have quietly slipped away. As time passes, Sophie grows more terrified, but remains frozen. When the sunlight finally passes, the goat's eyes return to normal, but just as Sophie breathes a sigh of relief, the terrifying nun appears behind her. At first, Sophie doesn't realize the nun is there, but a chilling scream echoes in her ears. Panicked, she rushes toward the door, but a group of children locks it behind her. Inside, the statue begins to move, but fortunately, the nun doesn't harm Sophie. Maurice arrives just in. At first, Sophie doesn't realize the nun is there, but a chilling scream echoes in her ears. Panicked, she rushes toward the door, but a group of children locks it behind her. Inside, the statue begins to move. But fortunately, the nun doesn't harm Sophie. Morris arrives just in time to rescue her, but the children outside continue to attack. Only when Morris loses his temper does he manage to scare them off.